If you had to pick a person, alive or dead, past, present, real or fictitious, who in your opinion would perfectly embody leadership, who would that be and why?
This was a bit of a tricky one. The person I was impressed by, and whether or not this stands the test of time, I'd say Gareth Southgate I was impressed by this year, not necessarily because of the results, right? England made the final of the European Championships, and some of the matches were pretty dire during the tournament, and after watching one match I swore I'd never watch England again. But I think if I take that outside of the sheer playing context, and did we win? No, we didn't win, but have we improved? Have we been a lot better than we have been over all of the years I've been watching football? Arguably yes, but I think for me what I was impressed by was the way that he seems to have taken what is the England football team was always a bit of a sideshow of celebrities and wags and national newspapers building people up and knocking them down. He seems to have taken that out of the mix and taken the ego and personality out of the team. The team very much seemed to be a bunch of guys that like kicking a ball around, that wanted to play football with each other, and for a nation to a certain extent. To me, for him to change that culture, dealing with people that get paid, £300,000-400,000 a week. They have their agents telling them they're the best things and doing this. You've got the national newspapers saying, why haven't you picked that player? Why didn't you pick that player? And, why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? To take all of that and actually seemingly just get a bunch of guys to run around, kick a football, do reasonably well, and then actually deal with the highs and lows of the tournament, some of the highs of the great goals and some of the great games that we played, and then down to the crashing lows of the guys that missed the penalties in the final, but then were supported by their manager and their teammates. And then, post-match, with all of the social media reaction and the words that came out of the manager, the way that he addressed that, and took people aside and spent time with people, and in the background he's working with those players and managing their expectations and helping them through the difficult times.
Now, I knew this question was coming, of course.
No, you didn't. Shush.
Yeah, well, I knew your other guests have been asked this question, and every podcast you do, you say it's the question everybody gets asked. Well, I've kind of taken the easy way out. You'll be disappointed to hear. Because lots of your guests, I think, have given sporting people as well.
They all picked the same one, actually.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? Yeah. Well, the good news for you is I'm not a massive football fan, but I am a big rugby fan.
Oh, okay.
The euphoria of winning the Rugby World Cup in 2003 was massive. So I guess the easy way I'd say my hero is the sport of rugby, because it embodies so much of what leadership is about. The game itself is very technical. It's ever changing. They keep changing the laws of rugby on an ongoing basis, often for good reason, I admit, like player welfare. But the game is constantly changing. It's very technically difficult to understand. It's physical, arduous. It's got all of those things. So no team will succeed without great leaders. Mm-hmm. So there are many of them, which is me dodging the question. So I need to focus in. It's hard not to choose in that context Sir Clive Woodward. He led the England team and English rugby to the peak of success in 2003. And it wasn't just for me about winning the World Cup. It was the way he built that over the previous number of years, and to start seeing England become the dominant world team, winning on a regular basis, pretty unbeaten, pretty difficult to beat, and how he developed the leadership within that team. Players like Lawrence Dallaglio, my personal hero, was amazing. Mm-hmm. And he put it together, and he made mistakes. The beauty of it is he made mistakes, but the momentum and the formula he came up with, the strategy he put in place, delivered the ultimate success.
Yes.
But more than that, to finish that, of course he's no longer the England. He didn't have 10, 15 years leading English rugby, and that's always intrigued me. Why not? Why did we lose him as the coach after such demonstrable success? And I think the answer lies in that he refused to compromise on what he believed was necessary to keep that success going. And I massively admire that too, because does, I think, come a point in leadership where you say, no, I'm not going to continue because I'm not being given the conditions, I'm not being given the resources, I'm not being allowed to follow through on success so that it becomes repeatable. And I really admired that, much as I think that he was a great loss when he wasn't able to continue or resigned.
I'm a big football fan.
Yeah.
Played football for many years. I still play football now. I'm a Manchester United fan. You can clearly hear this Manchester accent I don't have. So conforming to the general image, yes, I am a Southern Red. So with those facts in mind, I think there's only one answer. It's got to be Sir Alex Ferguson.
Okay.
I've read a number of his books. His books are fantastic, really interesting. Two of them in particular are written within the context of leadership skills, leadership advice, as in, not just isolated to the football world, how, what he's achieved and his approach and methods can apply in the business world. It's well known. Well, I say it's well known. It may not be well known, but for many people who know of Sir Alex Ferguson, know of what he achieved when he was manager of Manchester United, it was well known that he managed to get more out of the individual players in his team and subsequently the team than what was actually logically achievable on paper. He had some decidedly average players who would have been average in any other professional team. During his many years, he had a number of these players, but yet he managed to transform them into world beaters consistently as well. Great attributes as a leader to be able to somehow get that extra 10% out of an individual who it shouldn't logically be there. He instilled this winning to the absolute very last second mentality. Fergie time, it was quite well known that Manchester United would quite regularly win games in the dying moments of a game, where they might rescue a point, might be losing, might be drawing, and in the 94th minute they've popped up with a winner. Their very famous Champions League win against Bayern Munich in 1999 was exactly that. We were losing 1-0 for the majority of the game. Sheringham scored an equaliser in the dying moments of the actual 90 minutes, and then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer scored the winner in the dying moments of the game because of that mentality he had, that Manchester United went to the very, 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 very end, never gave up. He supported his players through tough times, would always publicly back them, but was well known for the Fergie hairdryer in the changing rooms behind closed doors, where, if they'd done something wrong, he would, by all accounts, give them some he'd let them know in all uncertain terms, but he would always back his players in public. And above all of this contributed to him achieving over a very long period of time, probably not to be repeated again, but consistently amazing results. What he achieved in football as a manager, I can very confidently say I don't think it will ever be replicated. It was unbelievable. He took a team and they dominated for at least a decade. And subsequently, since he's left, we've not been anywhere near the team we once were, which is difficult for me to take. But at least I saw them during the great times. I still see them now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not going to pretend to be anything like a football fan, but even I know who Ferguson is.
Yeah. There you go. And that's testament to what he achieved, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think it's one of those skills you see that only really great leaders have is being able to make something that's greater than the sum of its parts, which is
perfect. That's what I wanted to say. You've just said it very, very succinctly for me. Yeah, you made it greater than the sum of its parts. Absolutely perfect. Yeah.